Hello and welcome to Just Us Thinking. I'm your host, Michael.
And I'm your co-host, Rebecca.
And I'm your AV guy, Mikey.
And we're still on the trauma series. This is going to be, part 3?
A family affair.
That it is. So now in part 2, you heard a little bit about my background and my parents.
Okay.
And in part 4, you're going to hear a lot more about a marriage. My first marriage.
Okay.
So I figured, let's go over the other side of the coin in that marriage, and we're going to go over Wendy's family.
Oh, okay.
So that's it's going to be a family affair. So
sounds interesting.
Yeah. Now this. You kind of helped me kind of piece some of this together. So did a few other people. So we're gonna. This is going to get weird, folks.
Viewer discretion advised again.
Yeah. This one's going to be the weird one. Okay. So let's go. No, Wendy was my first wife. Mm-hmm. Now her mother is Cindy.
Okay.
Okay. And her father, so it's going to get complicated. So Wendy is also adopted. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start. I'm going to start with let's go ahead and start with her parents. Okay.
Okay.
So Cindy is her mother, and then her father. So Cindy was married to a guy. I want to say his name was Ron or something like that. I can't remember his name. I'd have to look it up again. And I didn't really want to put that much effort into looking him up.
Oh, okay.
But Cindy was married to, another guy. And Larry was married to another girl. Okay?
Okay.
So these two couples, so Cindy and her other half and Larry and his other half, used to like to go camping all the time. Okay? So they used to go camping, really good friends, really, getting along, everything.
Okay.
So, but somewhere in the relationship, Cindy and her other half decided that the marriage was over. Okay.
Okay.
And Larry and his other half were going through the same thing. So now I don't know where the marriage ended and their relationship began. Okay. But now the rumor mill, and keep in mind this is just a rumor, it was a family rumor, that the idea was Cindy and Larry were going to leave their other half, leave the kids, and run away together.
Wow.
Okay, that was kind of, I don't know if it was a joke or it was just, talk or whatever. That ultimately didn't happen because Larry and Cindy divorced their other half, divorced who they were married to at the time, and then married together. So Cindy married Larry.
Okay.
Okay. So they came together, and then Larry then adopted Wendy.
Okay.
And Julie.
Oh, so both of them.
He adopted both of them.
Okay.
I think Julie was too little to really understand. I think Wendy has a little more trauma with that than she really wants to admit as well.
Okay.
So those two got married, and then Larry did adopt them.
Okay.
Now I think Wendy kind of resents her biological father.
That's understandable.
It's possible that she may feel, abandonment issues there. Now, I've got to look at it from a different perspective here. Can you imagine being that guy that your wife now leaves you for your best friend that you guys used to go camping with? Could you? I'm sorry, I couldn't. I wouldn't want to go over there and see their big happy family. That is, I get that. I get that. No one wants to see that other part move on. That's tough. I get it. It's tough. And I feel that maybe he felt like he was forced out, and he didn't have a choice. So I don't know. I mean, he could have been a horrible guy. I don't know. But in the circumstances, part of me says, could he have been that bad? And, did he, what happened there? You don't know.
Yeah.
And the problem is I don't think Wendy ever tried to talk to him or she never tried to go and get his side of the story. But that's the way, that's just the way she dealt with it.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's just kind of crazy that's kind of what happened. Now, Larry has a brother. So now, and he brought Wendy and Julie in the fold. They created a life. And I'm all for that.
Right.
So now this is where it gets this is where we're going to take a turn.
Okay.
Okay. Strap in, people. It's going to get interesting. Now, try to please try to keep up. If you have to rewind to hear, did he really say that? I probably did. And you may need a flow chart.
All right. So tell us about Uncle John.
So Uncle John, this is Wendy's uncle. He was married.
Okay.
So that marriage didn't last. I don't know what happened with. I don't know what happened. It's kind of. I guess I never asked, but I know Uncle John was married and then
divorced.
He divorced her.
Okay.
Now his first wife had a sister.
Okay.
The sister was also married. And something happened with that relationship. I don't know. That ended.
Okay.
So Uncle John divorced one sister to marry the other sister. Okay.
Interesting.
Are you following along, Mikey?
Yeah.
Okay. So when he married the sister, that's why it's called a family affair. She had 3 kids from a previous marriage. Okay.
Okay.
So he now, to them, he was Uncle John, Uncle Johnny. And then when he married their mother, he's now Uncle Daddy Johnny. Okay. Just so you follow with the titles here. So now he's Uncle Dad John.
Okay.
Okay. And he, don't get me wrong, what I saw him treat those kids like they were his.
Okay.
Which is great. I love that. I really do. Until, and this is where we really come off the tracks here.
Okay.
So that second marriage ended, but he stayed in the kids' lives.
Okay.
Now, I think when they got together, I think the youngest was probably still in diapers, I'm sure.
Oh, wow.
Uncle Johnny was always in the kid's life.
Yeah.
Either as uncle or dad. So the kids grow up. The kids grow and get older. Okay? So now it comes down to the youngest one is now an adult. Okay? And now that youngest one that, Uncle Daddy John raised, that person is now an adult. Okay. Okay. So now Uncle John, hey, he's not married. That second wife didn't work out. So let's go for the hat trick. Time to get married again. So John then married the youngest. Oh. His stepdaughter, the youngest. Yep.
Wow.
So now I guess it's Uncle Daddy.
Oh, that wow.
Now he's there's no blood relation there.
That's true.
So
that's still kind of ew.
My feeling on that is you as well.
Yeah.
Legally, there's nothing wrong with this scenario. There's nothing. Legally, on legality, this is acceptable.
Morally, not so much.
I have moral problems with this across the board.
Yeah.
Now, it was originally, the marriage was, I remember hearing the story of, well, it's because of benefits or something like that, where they had to get married for some benefits or to make sure she was protected or something like that. So you're like, okay, well, marriage of convenience, right? Maybe it's just on paper. I will tell you, they have a kid together.
No. Okay.
Yeah. They do have a kid together.
So he kept it all in the family.
That truly is a family affair, right?
That is. Wow.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
So
So he marries sisters, marries a stepdaughter, and has a kid.
Oh yeah. Well, the story gets worse. I'm not even done with the story.
How does it get worse?
You're not done?
No, we're not done yet. So we're going to go to one of his older daughters. Okay.
From the first marriage or from the second one?
His stepdaughter. He has 3 stepdaughters.
Okay.
Okay.
He married the youngest.
He married the youngest.
Okay.
One of the 2 older ones, and I don't know which one.
Okay.
So one of them got married. Okay.
Okay.
And then apparently that he was cheating on her. Okay.
Okay.
So his parents go to the girl and say, yeah, we'll help you hire a private investigator so you could catch our son cheating on you. Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's kind of stand-up parents. That's, don't,
Yeah.
hey, that's okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
So she ends up divorcing the son.
Okay.
And daddy helped her, with all of that.
Daddy-in-law.
Daddy-in-law helped her.
Okay.
And then daddy-in-law became a significant other. She started dating daddy-in-law. And had a relationship and I don't know if the relationship's still going on, but yeah. Went from the son to the dad.
Oh.
Okay.
Nice.
You got that, Mikey? You following along?
Sure.
Everybody got their flow chart on point here?
Yeah.
It's a straight line for those of you who are paying attention here.
Wow.
This tree has no branches off the family tree.
No branches.
Isn't that kind of crazy? So now imagine yourself as a young person influenced by this behavior. There could be a point where you say, well, if that's your normal, that's what your gauge is that if that's your normal meter, and everybody else is going, that's wackadoo. What do you think your reactions are going to be down the road?
A little wackadoo.
Right. So
a lot wackadoo.
Now you guys are outsiders. I was part of that craziness of a family. I call myself the outlaw of the in-laws.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a crazy story, right, Mikey?
Yes. Wow.
You hear crazy stories like that, and then and you're like, what? And then did that really happen? And then you hear it in real life, and you're like, wow.
So now that was, I think when that was coming up, I think grandparents had just passed away. Okay. So there was a funeral involved, and we kind of knew that something was going on, but it was being hidden. And someone asked me if I could pull records, and I was able to pull the marriage certificate of those 2. So, and then I presented that to certain parties, and that caused more rife.
Oh.
So, I think the marriage certificate for the Uncle John to stepdaughter, I think that marriage certificate copy is downstairs in our basement. It's in a file.
Okay.
I still have that file. I still have that. It's down there.
Why?
Because it was documents that I got to. Someone wanted to know. They thought they thought something was going on.
Yeah.
And they wanted proof. So I said, well, we could go find out, and I did.
I would have made a copy and destroyed it, and then sent that copy to somebody else and say, "Okay, that's yours. I don't want it."
No, I like to keep copies of things that I've dealt with in the past, and that's one of them. So, kind of crazy. Now,
Wow.
perceptions are, oh my God, right?
Yeah. And I couldn't even think, so the stepdaughter that he married, how would the older two sisters feel about that? I mean, that's just didn't know. So they did it in secret. They got married in secret.
Well, they didn't tell. They didn't tell Larry and Cindy. I'll tell you that. And yeah, I think they got married in secret. I don't think they told. It was kind of a secret, yeah.
Okay.
And I could see why. There's a reason why you hide crap like this. So, sorry guys, it's all coming out, and if you don't like it, proof is in the pudding here. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have done. Now everything I said is facts. You go look at marriage records, and you can see it. It's all in there. Okay. And it was never really. Larry always bragged that he adopted them. He adopted them and treated them like their own. And you know what? He did. Okay. He really did. But I have to say, from the child's perspective, I mean,
you gotta be thinking, what the fuck? Really.
But here's the thing. If you see this and you think, oh, this is what is acceptable, and then you turn around and do the same thing, you think it's acceptable.
Yeah.
You don't. I hate to say it, but that's why people don't like cults and things like that, because it's almost like a type of brainwashing, even when it's really not brainwashing. When you do things like having that background for her explains a lot of behavior down the road.
Yeah.
So now I'm not saying it excuses bad behavior, but I'm trying to get an understanding on where things could have came from. I'm trying to get my head around this
how
straight.
It progressed, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy, and you'd have to see how the kids felt for that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy the way that all went.
That is. I try to imagine that in my family. I'm like, what? I'm so glad that didn't happen.
Well, here's the thing.
And it's probably a lot more common than we think, too.
There's probably some people in your history and in your family that families have secrets.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Families have secrets, and it really depends on how well they bury those secrets.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, John didn't really... He has a paper trail. I'm sorry, but there's a paper trail.
Yeah.
You married 3 times, and you could follow the paper trail.
That's true.
Now, I'm not saying that. I mean, I guess it's kind of weird that you divorce one sister to marry the other one. I don't know how. I mean,
that's weird. But I don't know. I still I just don't get it.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't even know how to dignify this with a response.
So, I mean, it's just kind of weird. It's just kind of, it's so far out there. I want to say here's the biggest problem. The age difference between those two are outrageous.
Yeah, like you said, he was changing her diapers, right?
I want to say I never saw anything inappropriate.
Okay.
At a younger age. So I don't want anybody to get what I'm not saying is there was anything going on with minors or anything, because I didn't see that. I don't know. I would like to stay. I don't know.
No comment.
Yeah, I have to have no comment there, because I never saw anything inappropriate. Everything I saw was, what a father did.
Okay.
So I saw he treated them like a father. That's why when it came out that he married the youngest, and the explanation was, well, it's because of some disability insurance or whatever disability or whatever it was. It was presented as a logical reason to be married on paper.
Oh, okay.
And when you look at that, you're like, okay, so maybe because she's now an adult, she doesn't have insurance, and he has better insurance. So if he marries her, she gets the better insurance as a spouse, and I don't know what that would do. So, I mean, I wanted to say at first, okay, I could believe this paper thing, but then the marriage continued, and then you have a kid with them, and then you have a kid with them, and then you have that's just, to me, I'm not saying anything inappropriate happened at a younger age. I can't say that. Yeah. I'm not going to say that. But at what point did John look over to someone he helped raise and say, you'd make a pretty good wife?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
just creepy.
Sorry. To me, that's creepy.
Yeah.
I hate, and I don't mean anything inappropriate here, but that would almost be me divorcing you and then finding one of your nieces or cousins, and then marrying them. That's significantly younger.
Yeah, that's just weird.
Oh, you're 18 now? What are you, Quagmire?
Giggity,
giggity. It's I don't know. It just seems, to me it seems wrong.
It does, yeah. It is wrong.
And here's the thing. Families, when they hide these little dirty secrets like this, they don't like to get them out too often.
Yeah.
And also they don't talk about it. So you have it in the back of your mind, but it's just like, oh, it's a hush hush. We don't talk about it.
Okay.
I'll say it because it's all documented.
Okay.
No. Everything I'm saying is documented. And here's the thing. Uncle John might not like me exposing this of him, but when you post pictures of you and your stepdaughter, now wife, with your baby on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then you could go through other timelines and you see, old pictures of them growing up together, and you're like, oh, look there. This isn't husband Johnny. This is
Uncle Johnny.
And then in this picture, he is stepdad Johnny.
Did he have any kids in the first marriage?
I don't know. I got this far.
Okay.
And at this point, I got to the point where I really don't want to dig anymore.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's some other stuff in there that I don't think is really my business to say some of that other personal stuff.
Okay.
I'm saying the stuff that I don't like, that I know about, and that I have firsthand knowledge about.
Okay.
I don't want to go too deep into that because I think there's more. I didn't want to dig into that.
I don't blame you.
I think what I found digging on this
was
bad enough.
Okay.
I was terrified to go any deeper. I'll be honest with
yeah.
you.
Understandable.
Yeah.
So now there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot to digest in that, isn't there, Mikey?
There really is.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that did to like relationships around?
Yeah. Like how, like, imagine like the first wife, like her parents, they're, sad that their one daughter is getting divorced, but their other daughter is getting married to the same guy. I mean, that's beyond weird. Well, I guess he's my son-in-law again. I mean, what the hell?
Well, you don't have to change any of the stationery, do you?
No.
To my son-in-law, cross out other daughter.
Yeah.
It just...
Or like, yeah, I don't know. That just...
Isn't it crazy?
That is crazy.
Now, and Larry and Cindy, I don't think showed a good example of... I don't know. I mean, you have to think... Was a marriage over before the new relationship started? Did the new relationships, help kill the marriage?
Yeah, there's just so many questions that I have now.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
So were they, and you have to say, I don't know. I don't know if that marriage was over and then they consoled each other. It could have been they both said we're going to go get divorced, and then they looked at each other to say, well, I like you, you like me, we're both going through the same thing, let's get along.
Yeah, so was it like boom, boom, or was it like boom, and then like you had B and C between point D?
Yeah.
You have point A, the first marriage. Is the second marriage point D, E, F, and there was B and C in there somewhere? I don't know. Wow.
It could have been that they started fooling around and say...
Or did he go from point A to B?
It's crazy. You don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know if the marriage ended and they're like, okay, we could try this. Or, hey, we're sleeping around on there and we want to divorce our other half so we could get married. I don't know how that I don't know how that dynamic went.
That's just wow.
But I have more questions. It's just crazy. It's almost like it's almost like I picked it right out of a soap opera, right?
Jerry Springer show.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is what you see on Jerry Springer show.
Yeah. Wow.
Only the difference is this was a different time where you didn't, you didn't have.
I don't think Jerry Springer was back then.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's still, but you got to understand that could that have been confusing for the kids?
I think it would be very confusing for the kids.
Right.
I mean, yeah. That's just.
Did the other half know that they were being, that it was going to end? I hate to say it, but I hear that a lot. I hear one person gets blindsided from that relationship all the damn time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the family dynamic. Now it's a completely different dynamic than mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know in part 2 we talked about my mother and father.
Yeah.
When I have to compare the two, my mother and father, that relationship was over well before Sandy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that same, was there double dipping? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if there's infidelity. I don't know. It didn't seem like it on my side, but once a marriage is over, it's that line is kind of tricky, isn't it?
I would think so, yeah.
So, I mean, once the marriage is over and there's no coming back, I would expect people to move on.
Yeah.
You have to move on.
Yeah.
How fast you move on is kind of dependent on the situation.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem is so in Larry's mind was was a marriage over for a year, and he was just going through the motions because he was preparing to end the marriage. He was, stuck in a rut. It could have been, a marriage doesn't end when you sign the divorce papers. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
It happens way before then. And then it's going to get interesting when we get into there. So,
okay.
I think we're going to leave this on part 2. That's a lot to digest. So if you're listening, and you had to go, it could have been a longer episode for the people with the flow charts.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're trying to get a diagram, this is like, wait. Why is this line going back on each other? Yes, it did. It's,
wow. That's just crazy.
So now I will tell you, that's kind of the background for this trauma.
Okay.
Now it's time to we're part 4. We're going to get into it. That's where we're going to have the hard part. So I think we'll leave part 3 here, and we'll see where the next part takes us. So now we are also on Facebook and Instagram and X if you like our stories.
Yep. And then you can listen to us on pretty much any podcast player like iHeart, Spotify, Apple. There's YouTube Music, Amazon, and Samsung.
Yep, pretty much every podcast player there is out there. You could also watch and listen to us on YouTube, Rumble, and we do TikTok shorts every once in a while as well.
Yes, we do.
So I think we'll move on to part 4 is next. So hope you guys enjoy.
All right, bye everybody.